welcome back to the Hyperfixation podcast. My name is Tsuki, last name withheld, and this is my co-host,
Max Fairchild. Thank you guys for joining us again on our second episode in our Cats series, I guess, is what I'll call it. I don't really know. In the last episode, we talked a bit about the history and the plot and our own personal experiences with the Cats musical and all of the things like that. In this episode, we're going to actually start talking about the movie, the 1998 movie, the 2016 revival, and the 2019 movie in depth, talk about, walk you guys through them, explain why we like it, what things we don't like about it, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, so let's move on to the movie, which is basically we're gonna take this movie as the sort of precedent for all of it, because the 98 movie is almost exactly just the stage performance. It's basically like you just went and watched it, but really high production.
And slightly different makeup for the camera.
Yeah, they have cameras and stuff, but like a lot of it is the same, and a lot of people take cues and direction from the movie itself. Like, it set the bar for how this musical was supposed to be performed, at least for a really long time. So, when we talk about this is going to be the main thing, and then when we go into the others, we are going to be comparing them to it, basically, sort of. But I do want to say that I don't really want to compare the 2016 version, because it is, like, honestly phenomenal, and I don't want to pit them against each other. Like, they're both so good.
Yeah, no, I think they're equally good, just in different ways.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the 1998 version of the movie, I highly recommend it, and by no means is what we say about it is going to super accurately represent it, so I do recommend watching it and formulating your own opinion, which I expect to be good, because it is an amazing musical. But basically, for a general description, it is a really high-budget film stage of the stage for when they perform Cats musical. They are all in their costumes. And they just perform the musical like a movie, but the camera is
unlike a lot of musicals that get adapted to the small screen, as they say. They didn't change anything about it. It's just the play. With different cameras.
With different camera angles and all sorts of stuff. And they did add a few stuff, like the lightning when Mistopheles uses magic, because in the actual production it's just smoke and puffing.
About that lightning, I actually forgot that he shoots lightning, so when I saw it, I was like, what the f***? He shoots lightning?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah, it's basically just the play, and with really high production value. And in my opinion, this is how all Broadway shows and other shows, plays, musicals, etc. need to be filmed. I feel like a good chunk of Broadway is elitist, and they're basically saying, if you, I don't want to get too much into that because that's a different video, but basically just, hey, if you are disabled or you are very poor and can't come to this, you just don't get to see this ever. But because the Cats musical got put on film, so many more people were introduced to it, and so many more people saw it, which I think leads into why it was so popular for so long, because so many people the audience and the amount of people that were allowed to see it was so much bigger than if they had just said, here's a short trailer, come and watch it in person or get fucked, which is basically what they've done with like Beetlejuice and a lot of the other new musicals. And I commend, for example, we can't talk about musicals without at least mentioning it once. Hamilton, they filmed it. filmed it the same way as this, basically. They did
I was
neuter.
So excited.
Yeah, they did neuter the curse words and things, which I think takes away some of the appeal of it since they put it on Disney. But it being widely available and it being filmed like it was meant to be shown to people, like, for example, the 98 movie was, I think just it's how you do it. It's how you do it. And seeing movies made, like we will talk about later, where they force it to be like a typical movie, like a Hollywood movie, like a normal, like, Die Hard kind of movie. That kind of cinematography is like, it does not work. It does not work for this type of thing. Like, sure, it works for something like Les Miserables because of how the story was structured, but for something like this, and especially for musicals, it does not work, and it does not bode well for the audience. Like, it makes it unpleasant to watch. I
agree.
That's my 2 cents on that. But let's go into our notes and talk about it. Like, you know, we took notes separately, and we haven't seen each other, so that this would be organic. But let's talk about our notes and go through them and discuss what we think and what we felt as we were walking through the movie, specifically the 1998 movie.
I'm kind of curious as to how you structured your notes, because I structured mine by...
I structured mine scene to scene, I guess, and primarily, I guess, song to song is a good way to describe it. I there isn't much structure to my notes. It's basically just I typed as I watched and paused every now and again if I couldn't type fast enough and I wanted to talk about something else.
Labeled everything as I was like...
I didn't label anything. I just wrote stuff down. My notes are so bad. So I'll go ahead and start off with what I wrote for the introduction, which is, of course, the 1998 movie starts with the most iconic shot of the cat's eye, with the people... with the people being a dancing Jellicle Cat. Like, you can tell that someone's dancing as the people in the eye. The score is amazing, with parts from other songs, namely the ball, the orgy dance, that whole situation. That music is playing, which is iconic in and of itself. And we will talk about the cat orgy later, because I had a lot to say about it. And the music building rapidly and then cutting out the instant the lights come on and the entire stage goes silent is just a really, really well done.
I literally just wrote that this opening is everything.
It's amazing. It's perfect. And then the actors running around.
The Jellicle song is the next song we go into.
And the actors running around acting to the silly, like, woo musical cues that go on it's great. I did write this down, especially because I talk about the acting later on with the other ones, and I wrote that like, right off the bat, you can feel different personalities in the cast, even though they're only doing like little movements, which, I mean, this may be kind of pretentious to say, but also, like, the actors are giving their all and they're really going for it, and it shows. It shows through really well. And the fact that they're going all in and, like, letting themselves have emotions and do these sorts of things is, you know, I think why it's so enjoyable to watch, because it's an ensemble piece. You need every single person to be giving their all and to be acting as their own individual person, which, you know, is amazing. And I will also mention, I don't think we talked about it, they had 3 words to describe each cat's personality when casting, and they also give it to you when you perform it, like when you audition and stuff and you get the role, they give you this to help you characterize it. And that leaves both, on one hand, so much room for interpretation, but also a lot of, you know, grounding, because Rum Tum Tugger is suave and sexy. That's like his thing, and Yeah, and those phrases help really ground that in. Side note, though, I did want to mention seeing naked Rum Tum Tugger haunts my dreams. Because at the beginning, he doesn't have his mane on, his like fluffy mane, which I know why they did it, because it's hard for him to dance in a lot of the scenes that he has to do, and if he had it on, it would have distracted from the others and would have gotten in their faces and all that stuff, because they have to be really, really close to each other in the intro scene, and the naming of cats and all of those stuff. But it is haunting. It is so haunting to see him naked.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing I wrote about Tugger in this part is, fuck, John Patridge is hot as a cat.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's so hot as a cat, and yeah, he's very attractive. Him and honestly, all of them, if I'm being honest. Yeah, but him and Jacob Brent really steal the show of sexiness values. But anyway, yes.
I also, in my notes, I put that I was consumed with the desire to dress as a cat. Help at 9 minutes in.
Yeah, same. I am always consumed. Anytime I watch this, I'm just like, fuck, I have to go put on a fucking cat wig and a leotard and pretend to be a cat for an hour. Otherwise, I'm gonna go feral. I did talk about the introductory song, the naming of cats, Jellicle, that whole those songs. And how they perfectly set the scene by showing off like individual talents and singing and helping characterize each character by like having Misto be the one who sings about the magical part and the Pied Piper's assistant, and having Cassandra be like all weird and like, ooh, we look at the moon. Ooh. And one thing I wrote is it puts you in the mood, it gets you excited, it's the perfect opener. I'm smiling as I write this, and the opening always makes me happy. It makes me smile.
I agree. I kind of got lost in the weeds here, where I just started talking about the practical effects and how they were really beautiful and well done.
Yeah, I get lost by doing that later on in the other ones, but because I've seen this so much, I've gushed about that before, so I was trying to talk about other stuff myself. For example, I had a lot of side notes talking about weird things that I noticed. Like, I wrote one about how at 7:25 timestamp, when the boot falls, Mungo Jerry makes a face that is really funny and would be perfect for like a reaction gif. And then
I wasn't paying attention. I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'll have to show you. And there's also one that I wrote with a side note of the row girl cats at the bottom during the naming of intercuts. Like, they're all girls. Like, it's Syllabub, Victoria, Electra, etc. Those two, and then right in the middle, intercut by all of those girls, is Pouncible. Just one boy, just him, just sitting there. And it was so jarring and funny to me, because he was the only boy in the front. And I was like, this is why is he the only boy? It was like, I think they were going for like the kitten lineup, but because there aren't really any male kittens in this specific production, it was basically just like, why is there a boy?
Just sudden Pouncible.
Yeah. It was very funny.
Kind of at the end of naming of cats and then leading into Victoria's dance.
Yes.
I was talking about how Victoria is
Philidia, I think.
Philidia, thank you. Philidia Kelly Smith.
Yes.
Oh my god, so much talent there. Like, Victoria's dance sequence is pretty much just showing off how good she is at dancing.
Like, it might not look like much if you don't know a lot about dancing, but the amount of stuff that she is doing is really fucking difficult. Like, in my notes as well, I mentioned this. I was talking about how it's amazing as always, and you can see her visibly shaking as she does it, because of how much like core strength and effort it takes to do that. And like, she goes on point like I think 2 or 3 different times. And if you don't know what on point is, audience, it's a ballet term which basically means you go on your tiptoe, your actual tiptoes, not just on and she does it
on
multiple
point is
times.
on your actual tiptoes, and then it's called it's called releve, I believe.
Yeah.
When you just are on like the flat part of your toes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you're tiptoeing to like get to something from a high shelf, that would be releve, and then point is on the actual tops of your toes,
which is very difficult. Like ballet dancers break toes routinely, and in their ballet shoes they have like a wooden block that they balance on. The top. And it's amazing that she has like Philidia, or if we're pronouncing her name wrong, obviously Philidia Crowley Smith. She's amazing, and her talent shows through really well here. And that's all I have to say about it. It's amazing.
Yeah, she's phenomenally talented.
I did make a note here talking about how the first song about the Heaviside Lair is basically talking about cat heaven, and they're all competing to get to be reincarnated to go into cat heaven. Which of course we talked about during the
invitation to the Jellicle Ball is where they start talking about that.
Yeah. And then of course we transition into the Gummy Cat song, Jenny Any Dots. And we get to have her pull off her big fluffy coat and her fat suit, basically. Which is
the first note that I put down for the Gummy Cat song is that the cat acting so clearly evokes cat behavior.
Yeah, like we didn't mention this in history, but they had a cat school that the 98 people had to go to, and yes, they talk about they made a big deal of it when the 1990 or 2019 movie came out, and we're like, oh, they had to go to cat school. Like, but if you know anything about cats, they all have to go to cat school. If you perform this, you go to cat school. It's normal. It's not like a big cool thing that these actors had to go there. Like, I don't care that Jason Derulo had to go to cat school. I care that John Patridge went to cat school and did amazing performing like a cat. But yeah, they really evoked cats here.
Sorry, I don't remember what I interrupted
You're fine.
To talk about cat behavior for.
You're fine. We get a little tap number, and the dance scene where they dress up as cockroaches is amazing as always, and just it's perfect. But then even more so from that, the music transitions into Rum Tum Tugger's song, and the rock music that intercuts the soft music, and then Rum Tum Tugger comes out and
boy has arrived.
Yes, and he says meow, like so sexy.
Meow.
And it's so iconic, and it's just like, if you watch Cats, Rum Tum Tugger and Mr. Mistopheles are like the two songs other than Memory that you remember when you leave. Like, you like the other songs as well, and you think about them, but these two songs are the songs that alongside Memory are the ones that make you go, oh shit.
Especially because it's kind of like all the songs are very like an eclectic mix of different genres.
Yeah.
So you have all like super like kind of what you would expect from a musical on stage for the first couple of songs, and then you just get this like cool like 80s rocker, like
exactly, like you don't expect the rock music in a musical,
and it just comes totally out of left field. And you're like,
especially with how soft and normal and traditional the rest of the music was. So I do have one side note to mention, even though I love John Patridge and everything that he is, but I did feel like this version, the only critique, I guess, is that this version of Rum Tum Tugger could have been a little gayer, which I feel bad saying that, because he's like iconically super fucking queer in this performance. Like, it's clearly just so gay, but I feel like it could have been more gay. Taking a note from the 2016. The 2016 one is ridiculously gay.
Yeah,
at least the song itself.
I'm of the opinion that I can always be gayer.
Yeah, basically anything can be gayer.
So I agree with that. But like you were saying in the last episode, I think that there is a little bit of a. At least I think it was the last episode. You were saying that there was probably a bit of well, they were showing it to a larger audience, so they kind of tempered the gayness. I would say.
They had to squash a lot of the gay, which Hollywood and big audiences or big productions do a lot when they have a wider audience.
Yeah.
Which again we will talk about in way more detail regarding the 2019 version, because that's a can of worms. That's a whole. I wrote a whole section about that. But yeah, the only other thing, side note wise, that I had to say was that, can we talk for a moment about how Tugger is very clearly wearing sneakers during his song?
Yeah.
Like, they're black with bright orange soles. He's wearing black sneakers with bright orange soles. They're not dance shoes. And he is dancing. He's doing dance numbers where dance shoes would probably help. Why is he wearing sneakers? It makes no sense.
For the aesthetic, I have to assume.
I guess, but it just looks weird because, because of the skin tight outfit, it does not look good.
That's true. They are pretty bulky looking next to the skin tight bodysuit that he's wearing.
It's a lot. But we go from Rum Tum Tugger song down into pretty harshly, which is not a bad thing. The cut that they do is actually really jarring intentionally into Grisabella's song. And the transition is like it works. It's phenomenal for what they're doing. It needs to be like a big, hey, pay attention, this is what's happening kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And honestly, it's one of the best parts of the musical when she comes out for the first time. And
oh my god, yes. And like it's just like dun,
yes,
like
Elaine,
really,
Elaine Page.
Yeah, Elaine Page.
She's amazing. She is the Grisabella. She set the bar for everybody else.
Yeah.
Which to say, this movie really set the bar for Cats musicals as a whole. Like I mentioned last episode, the reason they cut Growl Tiger's Last Stand from here on out was because they cut it in this version, and this is what everyone takes like a note from. Like, if they did it, it's fine if we do it too. And because this was so widely seen, more people also remember the Peaks and the Pollicles song, which comes up later, and less they don't know about Growl Tiger because a lot of people haven't seen it. Like, I mean, you haven't even seen it.
Yeah, no, I've never heard Growl Tiger's Last Stand.
I'll have to play you a recording of it afterwards. It's very good. Of course, though, there is racist stuff in it as well, which I will talk about shortly when we get to the racist section during Peaks and the Follicles, which is a whole thing. But there's a part during this where Tugger looks at Grisabella and he very clearly mouths "fuck you" to her, which like if you didn't notice it before, go back and audience as well, watch this section, because like you can see him saying "fuck you." It's very clear.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of racism, I guess we should probably address the fact that we aren't calling the cat who originally was called Jemima as Jemima. We're going to be calling her Syllabub, I think is the new name.
Yeah, we're going to be calling her Syllabub. We're doing our best not to be insensitive, and we're doing our best to try and avoid the really gross, uncomfortable, racist shit in this, which again we're going to have to talk about more in a little bit, because it gets bad for a little bit. But yeah, so we're going to put the racist conversation on the back burner just for a little bit longer, and go into so yes, the Grisabella song, she comes out, Tugger mouths "fuck you" at her, which is iconic, of course.
Yeah.
And then she gets to do her first little bit of memory, which is of course impactful and very important. And I love this performance by Elaine Page and everybody else included, especially one moment, let me find her name. Rosemary Ford, who plays Bomb Ballerina, her vocals during this, and Ava May, who is Demeter. Both of them are phenomenal during this, and I love their voices. However, I will say I do prefer the 2016 version of this song, only for the fact that Grisabella gets to sing more of it, and I feel like it gets to highlight her voice more, which I like a lot.
Yeah. I don't really. All I wrote for the Grisabella part was not only that she was amazing, but just a personal little aside about how she reminds me of my childhood cat, and that's why I was so emotionally attached to her as a kid.
Aw, that is soft and very good. Yeah. Then, I do want to mention her costume in this is amazing, and I love how matted she looks and how thin, and she looks like a stray cat, basically.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we transition from her, a little jarringly, I will say, into Buster Jones.
Suddenly, Buster, love this guy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of things you could say about this, but my takeaway, in my opinion, for how they bring Buster in and the jarringness of it is they're all trying to ignore Grisabella. Like, after they shove her away, they're trying to be like, all right, fuck that. This is a party. We're having fun.
Let's talk about this cat we actually like. Let's not just
instead of that fucking one that stinks and has fleas. God.
Let's talk to the rich cat.
Yeah, so Buster shows up, and he will never not be a highlight for me. He's very dapper. He's a dapper lad. He's proper.
Yeah.
Them all doting on him because he gets fed food. Like, the fact that he gets... Like, they love him because people feed him. It is so funny to me. I did write a side note here of, can cats eat cabbage? Because of his line, I've lunched at the tomb on cabbage, rice pudding, and mutton, and I was just like, can they eat cabbage?
I've never considered it before.
Yeah, I was just like, why are you eating cabbage, Buster?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Them also finding him being thick is him being fat is, they think he's sexy because of it. Like, him being
it
when
feels
Jenny
very
Dots,
Victorian, very like he's rich and that's why he's fat, and that makes him hot because he's rich.
So because he's fat because he's rich, and that's a sign of like esteem and respect for him. And Jenny Dots, when she like basically swoons and is like, he's a 25-pounder, like yes. Which I will bring this part up again later because they kind of butcher that, because they really just, like, in the original they made him to be like, it's hot that he's fat, which is a good thing. Like, he's like, allowed to be allowed to be sexy and fat. I mean, personally, he's not my thing, but that's just because I don't like dapper boys in that way. But
I just think that he's beautiful and wonderful.
Yes, I love him.
He always brightens up my day when I see him.
Yeah, his song is great. I love it. It always makes me really happy.
Love that little Toodle Pip at the end. So good.
Yes, Toodle Pip. And then from the Toodle Pip, actually, it immediately... we get car wreck sounds, like literal car wreck sounds, and to introduce McCavity, and that's his like motif. The noise of a car wreck, at least for this specific production in this movie, which I think is really good, because it, people get in car wrecks because they swerve to avoid animals. So like the implication that he's purposely running in front of a busy street just to kill people is a lot.
And I think it's really funny also.
It's hilarious.
And that introduces us to my other favorite characters.
Yes.
Which are Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer.
They're amazing.
They're the best. They are the Jesse and James cats.
Yes. Literal cat burglars.
Yes. Mungo Jerry has this cute little crop top, and I've always loved that about him.
Yeah, I used to not notice that at first, I'm going to be honest. And then I started watching it when I was an adult, and I was like, oh my god, he has like a crop top on.
Yeah. And Mungo Jerry has these like pearls to be like, yeah, she's like stealing stuff from the family.
Yeah, I know in other productions there's actually a line where it basically says she stole those.
Yeah.
Like more clearly it defines it better. But yeah, she's just like, yeah, I'm a thief. I have a $3,000 set of pearls around my neck.
Yeah. They're the best.
Yeah.
Their typewriter bit is my favorite thing every time.
Yes.
It makes me laugh so much.
It's so good. And when they watch the vase falling, when they mime watching the vase fall, and they're like, Ming! And they're like, ooh. Yes.
They're also very acrobatic, which is so cool. They do a lot of really cool flips and very acrobatic dance numbers.
Yes, they do. I forget the technical term for this, but it's when two people do one cartwheel together. So they grab each other. And
I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then we go into Old Deuteronomy next.
Real quick, I do want to say one side note.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I almost actually performed Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, to the point where I learned the entirety of the choreography from the movie and the lyrics.
Oh my god.
I was 15 or so around this time, so we take that as you will, because we couldn't do everything. And this all came from me, by the way. Like, I did not get told by a parent, oh, I should do something and you're going to do the Cats musical. It was, oh, I really like Cats musical. I'm going to memorize this entire song and choreography performance and do it. And I had to do, I believe, Rumpelteazer's part just because of how short I was, I think.
No.
But at the same time, I also did a lot of Mungo Jerry's choreography because I was the one who could, like, jump over the person I was doing it with.
Nice.
Yeah, because I vaulted over my sibling when we performed this. And there is one other song that I actually did perform, which I will mention later when it comes up. But yes, so we transitioned from them getting yelled at for being thieves into Old Deuteronomy.
Yeah, they actually get chased off the scene by the rest of the cats.
Yeah, which is iconic, of course. But yeah, Old Deuteronomy shows up, and him coming over is a good way to slow down the music, and Rum Tum Tugger and Monkey Strap getting to sing together is always a highlight. Their voices, especially in this movie, complement each other really well.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I do want to do one more side note. Tugger saying that basically Old Deuteronomy fucks a lot is a mood. Because Monkey Strap's over here just like, he's great, he's well-spoken, he's elegant, he's so old, he's amazing, he's perfect, and then Tugger's like, yeah, but he also has... Yeah, he also has fucking monster-sized balls, dude. His dick is so big.
He's like, he had 99 wives.
Yeah, he boned, like, we are all his children. There's so much incest going on here. And then it is noteworthy to mention that Mistopheles is the person who brings in Deuteronomy both times that it's actually him. Because there is a time later when it's a fake him.
Yes. I also just really love how much Mistopheles loves Deuteronomy. And just, like, playing with his arms and tail, and it's really cute.
Yeah. I love getting to see Mistopheles just, like, I love you so much, to Deuteronomy. Like, it is very cute. Then, unfortunately, after all of that wonderfulness, we'll have to talk about racism again here.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
I'm so sorry.
Awful battle of the peaks and the follicles.
Yeah.
Which is a very cute song if you're not listening to the racism in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because I like the little barks.
Yeah, so Monkey Strap goes into the peaks and the pollicles, and the song itself is basically he is performing, at least in this one, he is performing a song for old Deuteronomy to be like, hey, I'm telling you a story, because he's like the old man that everybody loves. You're going to tell him a little story to make him happy and entertain him. Yeah. And the song itself is basically just, aside the other stuff that we will mention, it boils down to a bunch of dogs got in a fight with each other, and then the superhero cat, the Rumpus Cat, shows up and beats the shit out of all the dogs and saves everybody. And which in and of itself is fine, but then we get into the racist stuff, which is not great.
Twice the line "heathen Chinese" appears in this song.
Yeah, in regards to one of the breeds of dog.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary. Yeah, it's entirely unnecessary, and it can be cut out very easily.
Yeah.
And in most productions, except for some reason the 2016, which again I will talk about, this line is cut. And it's not great. And I'm gonna bring up Growl Tiger's Last Stand here because it is related to this. Growl Tiger's Last Stand.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to come in like right around here somewhere.
Sort of. It comes in after Gus, Asparagus' song, because Asparagus' character, he has a whole section where he sings about how sad and old he is. And then at the end of it, he's supposed to go, but I could do it again, and then transition into Growl Tiger's Last Stand, which is basically him performing this song where he is Growl Tiger. In it, however, there is some racist stuff as well. Again, with the racist against Asian people specifically, and it's not great. So I do want to apologize for the fact that I'm going to be a little disjointed talking about the racism, because it's hard to talk about Growl Tiger without also talking about Gus's section, so I'm going to bring this up again and go more into detail about what exactly goes on with Growl Tiger's Last Stand as a song. But yeah, that's basically what I want to say on the racism stuff again is that some Asian people have said that the racism against them in both Peaks and the Pollicles and Growl Tiger's Last Stand are they're not, of course, exactly the same, but they are equatable, and removing one song, for example, the Growl Tiger's Last Stand, but leaving in Peaks and the Pollicles is not a good look. It does nothing. It is basically
it feels arbitrary if you just leave in the other one.
Yeah, because they're both very bad, and leaving one in does not fix anything. Either you need to completely remove both of them, which I don't think you have to do, or you need to change the lyrics, which is so easy, because so many productions nowadays literally just alter 2 lines and it's fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Side note, Misto being a Scottish cat it is very good during the Peaks and the Pollicles. And then Tugger playing bagpipes.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the bagpipes.
It will never not amuse me, because he has to be the center of attention. So you just know that when Monkey Strap gave him the job to play the bagpipes, because in this version he's very clearly, Monkey Strap orchestrated all of this, and it's going bad, and everything is falling apart, and he's throwing a fit, and he's having a mental breakdown, and Tugger just takes his role and runs with it. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll play this part here, but I'm also going to do way more and fuck around the whole time.
Yeah, he just like prances around the stage playing the bagpipes. It's amazing.
It's so funny, and like I said, the whole it's intentionally bad because it's supposed to look like they're all not doing what they're supposed to do, and this is hammered in again when the Rumpus Cat comes into the stage on the wrong side, and him and Monkey Strap have like this weird like tension between them where they're clearly pissed off at each other, but they still have to perform.
Yeah.
So it's very funny.
Yeah. If you have any siblings, it just reminds you of just when you're supposed to do something nice for your parents, and then like your siblings and you just all fuck up in different ways, and you all just like, God damn it.
Yeah, and you can tell Deuteronomy is just having the time of his life despite this. Like, Monkey Strap's trying so hard and spazzing out, and Deuteronomy is just like, yeah, this is great. It's so good. But yeah, after the Rumpus Cat and Peaks and Pollicles and the mess that it is, both intentionally and with the racist bullshit, Macavity shows up for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember if we see him here or not. I think this is where
Yeah, I think this is the first time we kind of like... I think he just runs through the background and like there's like a lightning and he's like, "Wah!" and then he leaves.
Yeah. He shows up and leads us into the Jellicle Ball, and I wrote it down as he leads us into the cat orgy dance break section. Which is true. It's true. Misto gets a cute little scene where he's hiding behind old Deuteronomy and shaking his fur to show that he's scared and how he's a little chick and shit, which is great.
Adorable.
The girl cats coming out on stage and like freaking the fuck out to start the ball is never not funny. I mean, they're also doing a really good job of like acting like cats, but like them coming out and being like, which brings us into the Jellicle Ball, which is amazing, and it deserves so much stuff to talk about it, and we don't have nearly enough time to talk about how amazing this is, but
something I definitely want to get into is how Tugger just puts his face right in the other cat, or his ass right in the other cat's faces. And that's important to me.
He does that a lot, I notice. Like, he puts his ass in cats' faces, and it's just like, hey.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Just like,
I'm so hot. Yeah, and, of course, the dancing is amazing, and all jokes aside, it's the best part of the musical for me in regards to the dancing. It's phenomenal, and to do what you have to, to do what they have to do because of how long this dance break is, and because this musical technically does not have an intermission. Like, you don't stop, you just keep going. This song, this dance is just so taxing and difficult to do because of how much goes into it. It's like to be good enough that you can do that and then go into all the other shit that happens after this is like props to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just phenomenal cast in this one in particular, which is probably because they're like the London cast, you know, like
they're them. They're the people who like the originals. So
and it's so good. I loved the clarinet bit. Oh my god.
Yes. I also had a little side note thing I wrote about how Tugger shows up and gives Misto the "what the fuck are you doing" look as Misto dances towards him, and they just pause and look at each other for a second. Like that scene is just like, me too, bitch. The fuck.
Yeah. I've also written here, "Am I a furry?" ?
Yes. Yes, you are.
And why is this cat musical so sexy at the 56-minute mark?
It is. It gets so fucking horny. And like Victoria has this whole dance break, which is basically her just being. It's colloquially seen as like her coming of age, like because she is technically in the cast of Kittens for most of the start, and then she has this where she basically. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. She basically goes into heat and fucks Plato in this, who is also Macavity, who in this version is played by...
Brian Walters.
Yes, okay. So he plays both Plato and Macavity, so he can have more screen time. And Plato here does the bit, and then Skimbleshanks is used as a table to lay Victoria on top of. And then they do their whole cat orgy. Everybody lays down together, and they're horny. They basically have a cat orgy. And then Grisabella shows up again.
Yes, baby. I love her so much.
She's great. It did amuse me because that she showed up, and then the other cats started lifting up their heads and miming like they were sniffing, and like I know why they did that. They did it because cats have a strong sense of smell and all of that. But the miming of it makes it seem like she smells really bad, and the implication that she stinks is just so fucking funny to me, because like logistically she's a stray, she's completely matted, but it's just so funny.
Yes. I also read that toward the end, Tugger and Deuteronomy were just like chilling in the back for a little bit, and I really appreciated that.
Yes, them hanging out together makes me very happy.
Super cute.
We transition throughout the rest of the ball. We get a lot of really good dance scenes. And I wrote that I want to talk about how impressive the dance number is, and it is, which so we did mention already, but it's phenomenal. And then, of course, we got Memory here as well, and because Memory's kind of part of the ball, like right after.
Yeah, there's like a Grisabella the Glamour Cat reprisal, and then it leads into Memory, which is very big for
iconic.
Yes, like it was on the radio. For normies to listen to all the time.
Yeah, like if you don't know anything about cats, you have probably heard Memory before.
Yeah. I actually tried to explain that to my boyfriend the other day. I was like, Memory, and I tried to like sing it to him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, why am I asking you? You don't even know what's on the radio right now.
Yeah, and of course, Elaine Page's production, her performance is
so beautiful.
Amazing, and she will always be the Grisabella, in my opinion. Like, I love all the other actresses we're going to talk about, but she is the Grisabella. So
she's really good, not only at emoting through song but through dance.
Yeah, she does a great job of just everything. She does a great job.
She's completely amazing. Everyone should watch it. Like pause this and watch it, and then come back, and then continue enjoying. Is basically what I think.
Yeah. And then from Memory, we go into Gus's song, which, like I said, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the racist stuff again.
Well, first we go into Moments of Happiness.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the start of Act 2.
I completely skipped that section.
Yeah, where basically this section is, they bring Gus out, and he's just, like, chilling.
He just sits there for a little bit while
Deuteronomy
Syllabub.
sings.
Yeah, Syllabub's voice, I want to mention, is fucking insane. Like,
yes, Syllabub, her name is... Syllabub, Veerly Castellian? Yeah.
Veerly. She
got an amazing voice.
Yeah. I know that it is notoriously hard to cast for Syllabub because of how high you have to sing. And so kind of from what I've had impressed upon me is that when you get that role and you perform it, like that being on your docket, I guess, like your history of stuff that you have done is like a fucking big thing. Like if you say, I performed Syllabub, that's like, oh fuck. Like you're automatically like wanted by a lot of people because you have to sing so fucking high for this part.
Yes. absolutely. Like, it's very impressive every time I see it.
Yeah, I love it. And then, of course, after that beautiful song, we get Gus's song, which...
Yes, which my cat really liked for some reason. Both of the times that Gus the theater cat came on, my cat Meatloaf came over and was just like raptly watching.
My cat,
sure why.
he was obsessed with Skimbleshanks, as contrast. So
yes,
our cats have very different tastes in music.
Yeah, our cats both have a favorite cat, and they are two very different cats.
Yep. But Gus's song is, without Growl Tiger's Last Stand, it basically just becomes an old man talking about how fucking awful his life is and how sad he is and how badly he wants to die.
So sad without another song that he does afterwards.
Yeah, it's just really sad. But with Growl Tiger's Last Stand, basically, for example, what happens is he does his whole performance for the Gus song, and then he stops and he goes, and I could do it again, and I could do it again, and he rips off his cloak, and underneath is the Growl Tiger outfit, and behind them, they move the set, and like physically, and out comes a literal boat that a bunch of people are in, and he gets on top of it, and Growl Tiger's Last Stand is Growl Tiger's a pirate, and he fights a host of cats, which in the version that is not fixed for the racist shit are the Siamese cats, and they fight each other, and there's also a Griddlebone, who is mentioned in McCavity's song, and makes more sense when you have Growl Tiger. She's there, and she's kind of like Growl Tiger's paramour. But at the end, they both die, and it's this really big performance, and the song is really fast and upbeat and has a lot of like tension in it, and it does this really good job of getting you excited and tense and thinking about like, oh shit, Gus did this. This is what Gus used to do as a cat. Like he wasn't lying. He wasn't just talking out of his ass. He was great in his time. And then afterwards, like, he transitions, they put his normal cat costume back on, and then he, like, does a bow and leaves. And that's his performance. And without Growl Tiger, it lacks. It's unpleasant to watch, honestly.
It's just very, very sad. And then we just, like, suddenly we're like, Skimbleshanks! Woohoo!
Yeah, like, the transition to Skimbleshanks from that is really, really sharp. And it's like, oh god, Jesus Christ, what just happened? But if you have if you have Growl Tiger, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like you said, rather, we transition into Skimbleshanks. And this song is amazing, and it's upbeat and chipper, and I love everything about it. They build a train on set.
Yeah, I just totally forgot that they built a train, and I was just like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
I love the train. It's so iconic. I love it. The only other thing that I had to say about this really was, we can cut this out if we have to, but as a side note, you can see the outline of his dick during this song. Like, he's clearly not wearing...
We have to leave this in now.
Yeah, he's clearly forgotten to wear a cup. You can see his dick.
Oh my god.
It flops around a bit.
I didn't notice.
No, yeah, like if you look down a little bit at all, you can see it, and it's like, oh, wow. Oh, hello, sir.
What I was gonna say is that he reminds me of C-3PO, and now what I'm gonna see when I see him is his dick. Oh my god. Oh, that was a really good aside, thank you.
Okay, so after Skimbleshanks, it transitions into McCavity shows up again, and they kidnap Old Deuteronomy, and I did want to mention one thing here, where Skimbleshanks kind of protects the kittens. Like, he wraps his arms around like 3 of them, and when McCavity shows up, and I like that scene. It makes it feel better. But we get Old Deuteronomy well, he's not kidnapped yet. First, we get the Macavity song, which is very, very horny.
Yes. Like, he gets kidnapped, like, a little bit into the Macavity song, and then just, like, Bomblerina and Demeter are just like, Macavity is so sexy. And
yeah, and one of the lines, like, movements they do is when they say, like, they the dance move where they mime how big his dick is a lot.
Absolutely.
And side note here, this is the song that I actually did perform in front of a live audience.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
there's a recording.
Yes, there is. There is a recording somewhere of this. Oh
my god, yes.
There is video evidence of me in front of a crowd doing Macavity. I played Demeter.
I would love to see that.
With a lot of the choreography as well. We verbatim, basically. The only real difference is that we did this a cappella. And we cut out a lot of the sex stuff because we were like kids at the time. So we obviously weren't going to go in front of a crowd of people who were at a fall festival thing and be like, hey, Macavity has a big dick.
Guess what, kids?
Yeah, like, guess what? Macavity's got a massive package.
And he's super sexy.
He's so
maybe
sexy.
Not the best thing for...
Yeah, but
we
did perform it for some reason. And I will note the person who was hosting actually had 2 of his kids in the show, and they won. But then immediately afterwards, like, 12 people came up to us, and we also heard other people talking about this who didn't come up to us, who basically told us, you should have won. And the only reason you didn't... And they were like, the only reason... you clearly won. The only reason you didn't get the actual prize is because they're his children. Which amuses me. And I just wanted to mention that because it's funny. But yeah. So we get Macavity's song and the very horny dances that go on, and then after that, Macavity and Monkey Strap have a fight. Yes,
that fight is exactly as intense as an actual cat fight is.
Yeah, though I will say, the choreography is a little lame in comparison to the 2016 version, which I will talk about more when we get to that version.
Yeah.
It's great for what it is, but in comparison to that, it's like, oof, the 2016 version is much better. But it is a very clearly a cat fight. And I like how at one point they play rock, paper, scissors on the floor.
Yeah.
And Alonzo...
I think Alonzo also comes and backs up Monk.
Yeah, but he gets his ass knocked out in less than a second. Like, Macavity barely even touches him, and he's just like, oh, God, and like, faints. I'm dead now. Bye. Which, of course, that transitions us into Mr. Mistopheles songs.
Yeah. Again, John Patchers' voice is beautiful. He is... Tugger is basically like the hype man for Mistopheles in this part. He's like, you know who could get Deuteronomy back is my boy. Misto.
Yeah, and like, not only is he like the hype man, it really feels like it's the song is not the same without the horny idolization-y way that Tugger sings it. Like, he's clearly head over heels for him.
He's like this phenomenal cat.
Yeah, he's like, guys, please, he's so good, and he's cute, and he invents stuff and makes magic.
And he's amazing. Lightning, apparently.
And he shoots lightning and birds cats out of a hat somehow.
Yes. Also, I wanted to mention Misto's costume is my favorite during this scene.
Yeah,
it gets sparkly, and there's lights on his jacket, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and I do find it funny that they shortened his tail. Like, I know why, because of the Conjuring turn, but because in the movie we did not get the Conjuring turn because they cut it for time, it looks like he just got a really tiny tail. It's funny. But yeah, we were robbed of the Conjuring turn. A few other notes I have is Cassandra's way too happy to be turned into old Deuteronomy.
I know, she's just like, me? Yay! And then she, like, does that little wave thing as she goes under the
yeah, she's just like, yes, put me in the tube. Make me turn into this big old dude.
Yeah, she's just really into it for some reason. And then...
Yeah.
I wrote that my cat came to see what what Mista was doing right as he produces the real Deuteronomy.
Amazing.
It was just like, well, there you go.
Yeah. Then, of course, we transition into Memory, and Syllabub is singing
yes.
Moments of Happiness, I believe, is what she sings.
Yeah, I think it's part of Moments of Happiness. Basically, they just, like, it's like a memory reprisal, but I think there are some lines that, like, lead back into Moments of Happiness.
Yeah, kind of tying Moments of Moments of Happiness and Memory are very much both kind of, like, intentionally made to sound almost like the same song. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard for the audience to tell them apart sometimes, and not in a bad way, just like it sounds like one long running song that
which is something that musicals do a lot, where they'll have the same like melody to different I think they're called leitmotifs specifically. But the Memory reprisal, very good. It's time for cat reincarnation.
Yes, Grisabella gets to do her whole thing, and her beautiful song, and she's just like, yes, death would be great. Death would be a blessing, and I'm cursed with life.
Exactly, that's exactly what she says.
Yeah, and Deuteronomy's like, yeah, you deserve to die, and take you up to heaven. Victoria and Rumpelteazer's actresses switch here for a second. Like, if you look at their faces, they've swapped clothing, and I don't know why.
I didn't notice that. That's funny. Also, this is like the first time that anybody is nice to her in the whole film.
Yes.
And I love it so much.
Yeah, right before Syllabub starts singing to back her up, she just lays down to die. She's just like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna die now. Bye, everyone. And that's just so funny to me. And then I wrote this down of everyone wanting to touch her before she dies is... well, it is. It exists. It is a thing. It is true. It happens.
Yes. It was pretty great. And then in the song Journey to the Heaviside Layer, I really love the like stairs to heaven that like literally come out of the ceiling.
Yeah, and like the stairs are so clearly a cat paw as well. It's like, this is amazing. It's basically cat god reaching down and bringing up cat Jesus. Yes,
it's so cool. I love everything about that.
Yeah, and the Heaviside Layer is, of course, fun and iconic, and we get the lovely line of to remind us that a cat is not a dog, of course.
Yes.
And then we do
the addressing of cats.
Yeah, the addressing of cats at the end as our final song after the Heaviside Layer. And of course, the song is amazing. It's a nice way to close the musical. Ken Page's voice is lovely and fantastic, and his baritone is phenomenal.
So good. Also, I just wanted to say, I love that the last song in the whole thing is how you're supposed to talk to a cat after they've taken you on this amazing emotional journey. They're like, oh, remember that thing we said earlier? Yeah, you can just call him Cat. It's cool.
Yeah, I also wrote down somewhere, I don't know where I put this, but somewhere in my notes, I wrote that I'm so tempted to just record myself addressing my cat the way this musical tells me to. Just like take off my hat, bend over, and be like, "Oh, cat!
Oh, cat!" Yes,
and then give him some tuna.
So that's it for that one.
The 1998 movie. So to wrap that up, it's amazing and really well done.
Yes.
And I think all musicals on Broadway, like I said before, should be filmed like this for the public because it makes it more accessible and it immortalizes it really and helps set precedents for future productions. And yeah, so that's that movie. And then from there we have alternate versions of the musical. Of course, the 1998 version is not the only musical, and it is not the only way to do it. But like I've reiterated a few times, it really set the precedent for how other musical versions of it are supposed to go. And
so there's actually there's a lot of similarities in how the 2016 revival did it to the
we're probably gonna skip a good chunk because with the 98 version I wanted to go more in depth to explain it better, but
my notes are not that long.
So much of this is similar. It's mostly just talking about the differences. All right, so before we go into depth about the 2016 version of Cats, which was performed on Broadway, I wanted to briefly talk about the Japanese version of Cats, which, Tsuki, I know I mentioned this to you earlier, and you said you hadn't heard of it before.
I knew that there was a Japanese version of it. I just hadn't heard anything about it, so I'm super excited to hear about it.
Yes, I didn't really know much about it either until I went looking into it. It's pretty interesting. So, the Japanese version of Cats musical was produced by the Shiki, I think is how I pronounce it, the Shiki Theater Company. And it started in 1983, which was really close to...
That's like a year after.
And the 1998 version came out after these guys produced this. So, like, this has been going on for a while. And it has run continuously since then. Like, it is still going.
Wow!
Non-stop. It has kept going by this company. It was the first ever long-running stage production in Japan. And it's very popular within Japanese pop culture, apparently. I saw some really good cosplay pictures of people like in Japan, people cosplaying. We probably will boost some of this stuff and link to the pages of the cosplay and stuff on our Twitter. If you guys want to check that out and you can see more in detail what we're talking about, we'll probably also post some of the pictures for this so you can see that. They look very cool. The most notable difference that I saw between these versions are the costumes, for one, which are significantly different. Most notably, the wigs have much bigger ears, like ridiculously large in comparison to the American European versions. Because on Tuggers in the American and English version, his ears are really small, honestly, but in the Japanese version, they're very big.
Oh, wow.
All of them are very big.
Yeah, I just looked up pictures, and they are very big. I kind of dig it.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Mistopheles, for example, has a really close-cut wig with massive white fluffy ears. And Tugger is most notable here because he is... Instead of being modeled after a glam rock aesthetic, which he very much is in the American and European versions, usually, he's modeled after Elvis. And he has a very close-fitting pure white outfit instead of the black. He has his big ruffle mane and stuff, and he has Elvis hair instead of, what he normally has. His tail is made to look kind of like a shaved poodle's tail, like with the big fluffy balls of fur, which I thought was funny. And as of right now, there is a production scheduled through 2021 performing in Fukuoka, Japan. I believe I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. But specifically in the Canal City Theater, a few other places that are to be announced. I was going to talk about the actors who are performing for this year, but I had a pretty hard time on my end, at least, finding information for that. So I apologize for not being able to like plug them and talk about.
As someone who looks up stuff in Japanese a lot, if you don't read it, it's really hard to understand what you're looking at.
Yeah, it was very confusing, and I just had trouble in general finding information about this because it seems very difficult if you are not a Japanese speaker or reader, I guess, to be able to talk about it. And then one last thing, alternate versions before we talk about the 2016 version, which we watched. I wanted to briefly, very, very briefly, talk about the Australian version of Cats, which the only thing I really have to say about that is I wanted to talk about Tugger's costumes, because the design they had for him is a lot, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it, so I'm going to send you, Tsuki, some pictures.
Whoa! Oh my god, I kind of love this.
Yeah, it's... I'm conflicted because he doesn't look like a cat at all.
No, he doesn't. He very much
just looks like a
man.
Looks
like a dude who kind of drew a cat nose on his face.
Yeah, and one of the pictures I'm about to send you right now, it's really jarring because you can see they're all in the background. They look like cats. They look like the outfits, and then Tugger is just like this hip hop like dude.
Yeah,
just
actually seeing
there.
Him next to the other actors makes it a lot more jarring.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, what? Hello?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that.
That was absolutely worth mentioning. His pants are so baggy compared to everyone else.
They're so baggy. They look like they're gonna fall off.
Oh man.
But yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the 2016 version. So yeah, the 2016 revival is really similar. It's basically the exact same as the musical. There's very minor changes.
Yeah, mostly in the choreography.
Yeah, choreography and a little bit of singing. The song that I noticed that was the most different was Rum Tum Tugger's song, specifically because of the gayness.
Yes. Yeah, I actually did notice that even the vocal casting is kind of similar to the 1998 version.
Especially the way they even, like, try and, like, deliver lines was... You could tell that they watched the movie and were like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. Also, I really liked Misto's costume in this version.
Yes. It was phenomenal. I have a whole thing. I talked about it later. But yeah, of course, now onto our notes for this. It starts off the same as, of course... with the LED lights on the stage. It gets you hyped. And this is verbatim on my notes that I wrote this. I said, already very in love with the set designs. We have a ring of lights coming down that look amazing. Question mark, question mark. I have no idea what they're supposed to be, but they slap. And then in all caps, oh my god, it's the eye. It's the cat eye. I love this. It turned into the cat eye. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. That brings up a point that I talk about a lot in my notes, is they clearly had a bigger budget. They updated everything. The special effects just got so much better in this performance opposed to the 98 version, which of course makes sense as this was 2016.
Yeah, it's quite a large gap between the two productions.
Like, not that long ago, we had the insane shit that went down with Beetlejuice, the musical. So, like... You know how good musicals can get nowadays, so yeah they upgraded it.
I wanted to mention that at the 9:37 time mark, they do a little sprinkler, and I liked that.
Yes, that was pretty good. I did also write that this movie is very much an ode to the 98 movie. It's a love letter. It's basically saying, we saw this movie, it's amazing. We're gonna do that, but we're gonna make it fucking better. and we're going to show you that we love it just as much as you do. And it's very nice because, like, as a fan, a lifelong fan, it's like, yes, finally they're making it and I get to enjoy it as well and see better versions of what I already love.
Yeah. I 100% agree with everything you just said there.
Yeah. I liked to get to see Misto singing more in this one as well.
Yeah, he has a lot more singing roles.
He has way more. I was actually kind of startled when he started singing some of the lines in his own song, which we'll talk about in a bit when we get to it.
But I really liked that.
Going through the timeline here, like I in my own notes, I said there's not much to say about a lot of this until we get to, like, Jen Annie Dots' song and Victoria's dance. Those are, like, so let's go ahead and skip to Victoria's dance first off. It has way more choreography, I think, to a degree. Yes, it is almost exactly the same, but they upped it a bit, I think, in this version, just a little bit. And it's very nice to see this, and Misto coming out and transitioning into the beginning of the little bit of the come out to the Jellicle Ball song is nice. However, I will note that his voice got drowned out a little bit by the music.
Yeah, I think he actually had an issue with his mic.
It sounded like he had an issue with his mic because you could not hear him, but he was clearly still singing, and then he just suddenly cuts back in. So I think the mic broke out in the version we were watching, which is, of course, not against him.
I've seen a lot of theater things, and that happens a lot.
Yeah, and I know we've been saying some stuff, but let me bring up the actor for Mistopheles was Ricky Ubeda, and he's amazing. I love his voice. And then, like we said, the dancing for Victoria is upped a bit, and it's phenomenal, and she is being performed by Georgina, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher her last name. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Paz Kogan, I think. She's Georgina does an amazing job, and Ricky Ubeda does an amazing job, and and so does Tyler Haynes, which brings us almost to our next point. First, we get Jen Annie Dots, who is played by Eloise Kropp in this version.
She was really good too. I really liked tap dancing. I tried to do it in high school. I wasn't very good at it, but I really do appreciate it. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, a good tap number is one of my favorite things. And she makes the cats clean, and they pull out a giant mop instead of turning into cockroach outfits. I also will note, Misto does not get much of a role during Jen Annie Dots' song. I think because he has such a big role in Tugger's song upcoming because of how much he has to dance for it. I think he was kind of taking a back burner during this, whereas some of the other productions he's more centered during this one. But yeah, we get all of that. We get her lovely song and the mop that she rides on, and then we get Tugger's song, which is amazing. And I do want to say, I was a little jarred at first because the voice for Tugger, first off, he talks for a good portion of the beginning of his own song, which startled the hell out of me. Because if you don't know, in the original, they don't speak at all. There are no speaking lines. It's all music and singing. But in this one, he talks, and his voice is intentionally kind of annoying. And it startled me at first, and I thought I was going to hate it, but the more I watched it, the more I loved it.
Yeah, I really love all of the personal flair that...
Tyler Haynes' Tugger is right up there with John Patridge. Like,
I cannot pick if I like one better. They're just so good.
They're both perfect, and I can't really compare them either because, like, they do their own thing, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he really owns the character and makes it his own, you know?
Yeah, and Tyler Haynes' Tugger is far more narcissistic and whiny, and
yeah.
also at the same
He's
time,
got like this big mirror they bring in, and he
yes, the
like
mirror
checks
is
himself out a couple
amazing.
times.
Yes. And then I want to talk about Misto's part in this song. Like we said, the actors Tyler Haynes and oh gosh, Ricky Ubeda, they shipped it and they had ship art in their dressing room.
Yes.
And
It's really funny.
Mistopheles gets immediately, right as the song starts, him and Tugger get to have a couple dance together. Like they dance solo. And during that, Mistopheles like strokes Tugger's back, and which is really sexual in the way that they do it. And then Tugger goes on and does the rest of the song. And during the entire thing, if you watch Mistopheles, Ricky Ubeda's version of him, the entire time he's like the only person who is moving a whole lot other than Tugger.
Mm-hmm.
Like during the scenes where it's just Tugger supposed to be like singing something or doing one of his little wiggles in the background, Mistopheles is like the only other person moving at all, and he's like specifically doing dance stuff. Like he's not just like wiggling or like twitching or something. He's like dancing.
Yeah, doing and like you'll see the female cats do some like cute little like cat mimicking.
Yeah.
But he'll like be dancing.
Yeah. And then we get Bombalurina's bit with Tugger, which is it's always noticeable, and that's always the thing. And he has his whole line where he says, "I only like what I find for myself," and then goes, "Nope," and drops her.
He drops her.
And immediately afterwards, he turns around, like he does a quick little walk about the stage, and then he turns around and starts wiggling forward with his arms open and making this cute little like, "Oh, come here" face, which at first it looks like he's going for Monkey Strap. Then he pushes Monkey Strap out of the way, extends his hand really sensually. He extends his hand and takes Mistopheles and pulls him onto center stage with him, and then he ruffles his mane like as kind of like a fuck you to Monkey Strap, like fuck off, I'm not going for you. And then him and Misto have another dance scene together, and they hype each other up, and we get the classic. Most of the girl cats like jump through Tugger's leg at some point, but Mistopheles gets to go through Tugger's thighs this time, which is amazing, and I'm so happy for that. And then there's a lot of sexual tension there, and I did want to mention this as a side note. Tugger's thighs are so fucking thick during this. Like they're so hot, and he could crush a man's skull between his thighs. Like Tyler Haynes could crush a man's skull between his thighs. And while I'm not saying I'm volunteering, I'm also not volunteering to be crushed.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like just I'm not saying I'm not gonna come out and be like, yeah, crush me, but also I would not do that.
If you're gonna crush somebody, it may as well be one of the co-hosts of this podcast.
I do enjoy also that Tugger in this one doesn't wear sneakers. He also a few other notes that I had. Tugger commanding everyone to do stuff with his hands, and them immediately falling into line to do it like they're hypnotized almost, was a really good way to show like everyone is just head over heels in love with Tugger.
As they should be.
And then, of course, Tugger transitions into Grisabella's song, which is amazing.
Oh my god. I love the costume. It's so different from the 1998 version. And it's not a bad thing at all. I love it. Yeah. It looks amazing. Like...
Yeah, Leona Lewis plays Grisabella in this, and before I knew anything else about this, I saw her, because they released like a trailer of her singing Memory, and that was the first thing I knew about this, and I immediately fell in love with her production and her performance, and
her voice is so beautiful.
Her voice is so, it gave me chills. I had chills listening to it. It was
same
fantastic.
Here. Like every time she sang, I got chills.
Same. It's so good.
So amazing.
Yeah.
I really love her own personal flair that she puts on this character as well.
Yes.
It's a very different version of Grisabella than Elaine Page.
Yeah.
And they're just both really beautiful and good. And, like, it's really cool to see two different actors kind of make the part their own.
Exactly. The only critique I had regarding her costume specifically, which is not her fault, was that it didn't look matted enough to me. Like I think they could have made it look more dirty, to make her look a little more, like, gruffy, but of course that has not anything to do with her or her performance. That's just the costume team and my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
So after we get that, I did write a little side note that everyone, like, the performers actually literally hissing at her, first of all, made me laugh because I wasn't expecting it, and second of all, I do actually really enjoy it. That's a really good touch. But they let her sing the entirety of her song, basically, instead of having other cats sing some of it for her. And then
I really like that too.
Yeah, after her, we get Mistopheles doing some more dancing, so he gets to show off his dancing more, and he also gets to sing more, like I said. So it's nice that he gets to show off being a triple threat that he is. Ricky Ubeda, he can act, sing, and dance, so it's nice that they let him do that instead of him just being there to dance for his performance in Mr. Mistopheles. There, another thing I did bring up is there's more kittens in this. The ensemble of kittens is bigger. Specifically, they added more characters because they have a scene later in Mr. Mistopheles' songs where they bring out all the kittens and show them off, like, oh, they pulled them out of a hat. But they did add, like, I think 3 more kittens that were not in the other productions I've seen, and I did not recognize them. But, of course, they're fine, and you add more cats depending on how big your cast is to be the chorus number, of course. So, yeah. Then we transition into some of McCavity's stuff throughout the song. He gets police sirens as his motif instead of the car crash noise, which I like a lot more because I don't know, it fits him better.
Yeah, it's also really good. Like the human police are after him is a really funny idea.
Exactly. Yeah, like the human police are after a cat who has killed people.
Yeah. They did say that he's broken every human law.
Yeah, exactly. He's committed grand larceny. So there's a thing that I wanted to mention. During some of McCavity's bits, every time he comes out, I did enjoy being able to see Tugger on screen more, because in the 98 version, he kind of came on, did his thing, and then was absent for a big chunk of it until they all had to come and dance. But you actually see him on stage here, and he gets to act like a bit of a tomcat, because in the 98 version, the only ones who really were like, fuck you, I'll fight you, McCavity, were Monkey Strap and Alonzo. But in this version, Tugger gets to be like he gets to be out more, and he's one of the 3 who's like, hey, we'll fight you. Of course, he does leave, like Alonzo does as well, and then it's just Monkey Strap, and then it transitions into whoever's song it is next. But it was nice getting to see him be like a tomcat and like be like, hey, I fight too, bitch. Then we get to the Rumple Teaser Mungo Jerry song, and I wanted to say I fucking love this Rumple Teaser. She is performed by oh dear, I'm gonna mispronounce your name, Miss. Oh God, I feel so stupid.
Shanika Gooden.
Shanika, I think, Shanika Gooden. I'm bad at names. Shanika Gooden, her Rumple Teaser, something about it was just so fucking amazing. Her singing voice, her acting, her dancing, it was amazing. And then her and the Rumpelteazer.
Mungo Jerry is Jess Leprato.
Yes, the Mungo Jerry. They got to their choreography was amazing, and they did contortion dancing at part of it, which was fucking insane, and I loved it.
I wrote down the cat pretzel is really something.
Yes, and it was punctuated by the lyrics as well, because they were singing about how they work together so well, and I was just like, this is amazing. And so I just wanted to talk. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that their singing and their performances were phenomenal, and I love her Rumpelteazer so much.
I like that their bags that they come in with say swag on them.
Yes, they're swag bags. They're swag bags. That was so good.
And my boy Mungo still wearing the crop top.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Their performance is. I prefer this version of Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer opposed to the 98 version, which is controversial. Not really, but yeah, I love this one a lot.
I really love both of them. I again kind of just like Tugger. I can't pick a favorite.
Yeah, with Tugger, it's so hard with Tugger to pick a favorite because they're both so fucking good. Yeah. So we transitioned from her into Old Deuteronomy's song, of course, which, like I said last time, Tugger and Monkey Strap's duet is amazing. Nothing more to say. I will mention here, though, that I noticed something in the background after Old Deuteronomy came up. Tugger is sitting beside Old Deuteronomy in the background, and Old Deuteronomy doesn't pay him attention for a second, and Tugger butts his head up against him, which is a very cat thing to do. My cat does this to me when he wants attention.
Yeah.
And then Old Deuteronomy turns around and grabs Tugger's chin, and Tugger just like melts into it, and then does like the cat thing where they scent mark with their face. He scent marks across his back, and then he just flops and lays on him for a good chunk of this next bit. And he was just laying on him for so long, and it was just like, oh, this is the cutest fucking shit I've ever seen. It was so good. And
it was so good.
Tyler Haynes, I give him props for that, because oh my god. It gave him so much more life, that character. And then alternatively,
the Jellicle Ball is next, because in Peaks and Pollicles gets moved to Act 2.
Yep. We get McCavity for a second as well, right before the other one. Right. Yeah, and Tugger hides, instead of Mistopheles hiding behind Old Deuteronomy's Tugger for a little bit. But he's not really hiding, in my opinion. It looked like he was just laying behind him and watching, and then he does the whole thing that Monkey Strap does, where he gets up on squats a little bit and puts his arms out. Tugger does that before he goes off stage, and then the girls singing a very small portion of McCavity's song before they dissipate, and we transition into the Jellicle Ball. I will say one thing I didn't like was, of course I know why they did it. It's a dance number, but I would have preferred Misto and Tugger to be closer during it. They do get to be together during the beginning and the end. Victoria gets a more romantic take on her sex scene, basically.
Yes.
And during it, actually, I noticed that Victoria accidentally kicked Misto in the head, which was really fucking funny.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, oh my god, you poor thing. You can even notice how she immediately stops stretching her leg when she touches him. She's like, ooh, whoops.
Yeah.
And then they do their big dance. They have the orgy scene.
Yes. Also, toward the beginning, one of the I couldn't tell who it was. One of the cats did this really amazing flip, and I decided he was my new god.
Oh, yes. That was Pouncival. Pouncival is the one who, he always does the flippy stuff. That was very cool. Also, side note, again, Mistopheles during the cat orgy section is laying down with two of the boys.
He is.
He's in a pile of two boys. So he's in a three-way with two other boys. So Mistopheles confirmed gay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So Next, of course, we get Grisabella coming back to highlight her. Mistopheles running over, hissing, and clawing at her was very fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then again, we go back to the rest of the ball. Tugger has a section where he calls a good chunk of the girls over to dance with him. And it's noteworthy that Misto is the only boy during that. He's with the kittens, the girl kittens, when Tugger calls them all over, which made me really happy. Then we get a black light that pops up and makes Victoria glow to highlight her solo dance, which is fucking insane, and I loved it.
It was so good.
It was perfect, and because she's the only all-white person there, she glowed, and it looked like she had a spotlight on her, and it was perfect. It had the intended effect.
It was so pretty. Amazing.
It was so pretty.
All of the props.
Then the ball ends, and Misto and Tugger get to be right next to each other, right in the middle of the stage, which made me really happy. But that's neither here nor there. We get Memory, which, like we said before, she's fucking phenomenal. There's nothing else to say. Like we said what we said. Leona Lewis
she's just
fucking amazing.
She's also really good at emoting through song and also through dance. She puts her own personal flair on it. She's great.
And then Ariana Rosario, who plays Syllabub in this version, she's also amazing with her vocals.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good.
So ethereal. I get chills every time. And then we get Gus comes out. Everybody dotes on him, including Old Deuteronomy, which makes me happy.
Yeah, I actually put down that Syllabuz's voice was pretty right here.
Yeah. Good thing we have a consensus on that. Yes. I prefer this version of Gus's song because it's followed by something else, even though it is not Growl Tigers.
I really liked that they gave him Peaks in the Pollicles, just so he has a bigger part, and it doesn't seem so sad after.
Yeah, so jarring, and when Skimbleshanks comes in after it, it isn't as jarring when he gets to sing a upbeat song. I will say I was very disappointed that it wasn't Growl Tiger's Last Stand, but it's still fine. Two side notes I had. One, Tugger, during the scene where he steals the booze bottle from Skimbleshanks. And when Skimbleshanks tries to take it from him in the background, while Gus is singing, Tyler Haynes Tugger, he kicks at him. He kicks at Skimbleshanks to keep him away from taking it. And then after he does that, he sensually shakes his ass at the audience for a minute, which is so funny. And then they didn't remove the racism from Peaks in the Pollicles.
No, they didn't. I noticed that.
They did frame it as like your crazy racist grandpa saying it.
Yeah, it felt a little bit. Yeah, because in the original one, it's Munkastrap who leads it, and it seems weird because he's like a young man. And in this one, it's like Gus is an old man, so it's like, oh, come on, Grandpa, you can't say that.
Yeah, but it isn't. That doesn't mean it's not.
It's still not great.
Yeah, and also the fact that Monkey's Trap also says it as well. Like
he
after,
does.
It was just like it shouldn't have been in there. But like I will say, it is like kind of funny. At first, like my knee jerk was like, oh, this is kind of funny that the crazy racist grandpa is saying it. But also, like after a few seconds, it's like, yeah, but they shouldn't have had it in there anyway. Even if it is a little funny, it's like not good. Then we skip to Skimbleshanks, which is far less jarring.
This is very similar to the staging
it's
and
basically
choreography.
The exact same.
Yeah.
Of course, the actors are different, and he does a very good job. The actor for Skimbleshanks is...
Yeah, I really liked how he sang it.
Jeremy Davis. He does this version. He does a very good job. but they are very similar, and we're trying to be brief here. So let's move on ahead. We get Macavity.
He has a really good presence.
Yes. Whoa. And he bewitches, he actually bewitches the cats and controls them like puppets, and I really like that. The rendition of Macavity by this version of Bombarian and Demeter is amazing. I really like it. Then we get fake old Deuteronomy coming in, Tugger being fooled by it as well. I really liked, because in the original he was not even present for this song.
Yeah.
Then Macavity, and I wanted to talk about his design because I think this design is more superior. The actor who plays Macavity is Daniel Gaiman, and he is, first of all, amazing, and second of all, his design is so much better than the 98 version. Like, he looks like an evil David Bowie.
Yeah, he, not only does the actor have
amazing stage presence.
I'm sure you just said his name. Daniel.
Wow. Yeah, Daniel Gaiman.
Daniel has a really amazing presence as an actor, but also the costume really helps elevate it even more.
Yeah, for sure. They have rock metal music during the cat fights, and they have a cowbell, and the cowbell fucking fucks. It's great. The cats being fucked up by actual magic powers by him is amazing. The choreography between him and Monkey Strap, like I said earlier, is really good, and I like it more than the 98 version because it makes it more tense. And of course, after that, we transition into Misto's song, which is thankfully done by Tugger. And I can't lie, him speaking a good portion of this startled the hell out of me. I was just like, what the fuck? I liked it. I like Tyler Haynes. I love what he did, but it startled me for sure.
Yeah, I really liked this. I like that Misto and Tugger both have a part to play, in singing.
Yeah, they both sing, which is really nice.
Which is really cool, and it feels like a back and forth. It's like Tugger's like, yeah, this is my boy, and Misto's like, that's right, I am.
Yeah, really it's like they're both like, yeah, we bone. Get over it.
It's amazing.
Only critique I had was it could have been a little gayer, because like I said earlier, I have seen productions of this that they have actually kissed in it, so they could have gone all out. Is all I'm saying. Because I really want to feel Tugger is in love, head over heels in love for Misto. I want to feel that shit. And I did feel it, but I want to feel it, you know? Also, I don't think I mentioned, I love Tugger's outfit. The belts are really nice.
Good. I like the little chain that comes off of it.
Yes, the chain is a good touch.
I love it.
Yeah, I love Misto's scene. I love that his jacket colors change. I love that he makes
cool.
and I love how he makes Cassandra's fur glow.
Yeah.
He gets at least 14 turns in the Conjuring turn.
I know! That was insane. I wrote those spins really large.
Yeah, he did very wide spins as well, and he did them very, very fast.
It was so
he
amazing.
did a very good job. The Conjuring turn, of course, is really difficult to do, and it takes years of training to get to to attempt that. So, I love that. I love the way that they brought in old Deuteronomy, how they had the little handles, the lights that Mistopheles sent to everybody, and then they got in the middle and did it. I like that better than Mistopheles sacrificing Cassandra to the pipe gods.
Because he's you're like, what happened to her, though?
Yeah, she just fucking went in the pipe and disappeared. The gods ate her, and then she came back out of nowhere. I like how he bridal jumps and gets held like a bride in Deuteronomy's arms. That's really nice.
Cute.
Ricky Ubeda is very small. You can tell when he's being held like that. It's like, oh, hello. It's a very tiny man, like me. So him at the end of that getting to blow out the spotlight was amazing as well. Like, he blows it away with his breath.
It was really cool.
Yeah. Basically, just all of the special effects for this were fucking insane. Like, he blows glitter over them.
Oh, yeah, that part was wild.
And it's, like, lights for glitter. I will give a warning to all our audiences if you guys watch a recording of the 2016 version. Please keep in mind that during Mistopheles' song, there is a lot of flashing lights. So if you're photosensitive, you may want to skip it.
Yeah.
It's very, very bright and flashy, and yeah. But anyway, then we get Grisabella's song.
Yeah, we get Memory and Ariana Rosario, who plays Syllabub.
Yes.
Wow.
They are amazing. They have a wonderful duet, and I love it. We get Grisabella. She gets what she deserves and is ritualistically sacrificed to the giant cat paw in the sky, so that she may live another year.
This one is really cool how they do it. Like, it looks like they're floating.
Oh yeah, in seriousness, yeah, I really do love this version, and the choreography is amazing.
Yeah, I was just like, how are they doing that?
They put her on a wire, and they have her float up.
Yeah.
Like, she literally levitates, and it's like, damn, bitch, you're an angel now, I guess?
Yep.
A side note that I wrote, that Tugger and Misto being back together near the end makes me really happy, because I'm a gay bitch, and I love seeing them around each other. Final thoughts, during the, like, ending bit, the credit stuff right before they end the stage and do their on-stage bows, them being, like, they came together and they ran up to Monkey Strap and they harassed him, which was really fucking funny. And then Tugger does high kicks in the corner for a minute, and then he comes over and, like, grinds up on Grisabella and is like, yeah, which was really fucking funny. Also, something I forgot earlier during a scene in part of Tugger's dance area, he basically crumps, or it wasn't during Tugger's song, it was during the ball. He basically turns backwards to the stage and starts crumping, which was really fucking funny. But yeah, it's amazing. The songs are great. There's nothing more to say really about that.
Yeah. The only other thing I have for this entire recording to say is that Old Deuteronomy, who is played by Quentin Earl Darrington, his voice was really amazing throughout this whole thing.
I loved his voice.
It feels very, like, warm and homey to me, because I was raised Catholic, and I listened to a lot of choir singing, and it sounds like choir singing.
It really does, and it has a happier feel to it than Ken Page's, which was intentionally, like, sadder.
Yes.
Which they're both equally amazing. So final thoughts on this. It was really good.
So good.
It's a worthy successor to the movie. Though I am hesitant to say that, despite it clearly being a love letter to the movie, because it stands perfectly fine on its own without ever seeing the movie, and just going into it by itself. You can just watch this and learn to love cats. It's amazing, and I commend it. The actors are amazing. And I don't feel right comparing the two movies, or, well, not movies, this and the 1998 movie. The two recordings. And again, the only critique I had was that I wanted it to be gayer. But, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna find that that's our critique to basically everything that we talk about on this show.
Yeah, basically, just a critique that will almost always show up will be it could be gayer.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing to talk about now is the 2019 movie, and we're actually going to separate that into its own episode to talk about it, because it's a lot, and we have a lot. We have a lot to say, and we don't want to get sidetracked or try and cramp for time, and we've been recording for like 3 hours today already to get everything done. So that's where we're going to leave this episode. Thank you for listening. to the second episode of our podcast, The Hyperfixation. You can find us at The Hyperfixatio on Twitter. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube at The Hyperfixation Pod. And we don't have a quite set time for when we're going to post, but we will probably be kind of productive with it, just because podcasts are kind of easy to make. So yeah, just keep watching, and we'll have our stunning conclusion to the podcast next time. See you around, and bye.
Bye-bye.